Welcome to our video explaining how to create your very own Moodle site. I teach in North Vancouver, and this is our Moodle platform for North Vancouver. You will see here basically what I have is a bunch of course categories: miscellaneous, elementary classroom science, math, so on and so forth. And I'm just going to click on the miscellaneous category. It doesn't really matter what I click on here because the nice thing about Moodle is anything that you do, you pretty much can edit and change at a later time or date and move things around. If you like, or if you don't like what you've done, you can change it quite easily. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a new course. I'm going to break this video up into a couple parts, just for the sake of not having one video that's 15-20 minutes long. And this particular portion of the video is just going to be dedicated to actually creating a site. Now I do have to apologize. The software that I'm using to capture this video that I'm creating actually takes a lot of the operating speed of my computer, so unfortunately everything kind of slows down a little bit, and you'll just have to bear with me. But I can assure you that when you actually go to create the site yourself without having to run this software, things run a lot more smoothly and a lot more quickly. So remember how I said that I can change things at a later date? Well, the first thing is I told you I created under the miscellaneous category. Well, right here I can change it. Well, I know it's not a miscellaneous course. If it's for math or language arts or distant ed, whatever it happens to be, I can change that now, or again, I can change it later. It doesn't really matter. I can always change things later. Anything that you see with a red text and an asterisk beside it means it's a category that you have to change right now. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this test site, and I'm going to call this test site 1. And I'm just going to give it a short name because I could have given it a real long name there, so they just want a little shorthand. I'm just going to call this TS1. And what I'm going to say for ease and sake of everything is I'm saying just keep everything with the defaults as is. If you've never used Moodle before, I mean, you'd be changing something and you don't really know why you'd be changing it and for what purpose. So you may as well just keep it to the defaults the way they've asked you to, and later we can change how it's set up. But in saying that, I am going to point out a couple of the features or dynamics of the Moodle site. Now you will notice that right now that it's defaulted to a weekly format, and it says that there are 10 weeks. Now you can change that up to 52 weeks and for a calendar year if you like, or you could change the weekly format to actually a category that I prefer, which is by topic or by unit. I personally prefer topics, but like I said keep everything in to the defaults right now because we can change it later. Again, I personally like topics just because I break my class into actual units or sections as opposed to what I do in a given week. And it's defaulted to the first day of next month. You could change this date to September 1st, 2010 for the next calendar school year or the next school year. Whatever you want, you can change that now, you can change it later. I'm just going to sort of skip through a bunch of these features just because, like I said, we can always change them later. And I just want to highlight a couple of things. The first thing that I want to highlight is anywhere that you see a yellow and black question mark, if you actually click on that, I'm not going to do it now because it takes a little time for it to come up. What that does is it basically opens up a window that will tell you what this particular category happens to be about and gives you a short little description. Right now, it's defaulted to this course is available to students. So basically, students will be able to log on to this course, assuming you give them your URL of your course, which is up here, and they will be able to gain access to this course and see everything that's in the site. Right beneath it is an enrollment key. It's blank, and because it's blank, anybody who the next window says guest access. Right now, it says do not allow guests in. If I change that to one of the other two, it says allow guests without the key. So that means anyone can get in as long as they have the URL, like I talked about it just a minute ago. The next button says allow guests who have the key, and that's the enrollment key, which is the line right above. So basically I could type in a password here, and anyone who tried to get into my site would have to know that enrollment key or password in order to get into the site. If they didn't have it, they wouldn't be allowed in. If they did have it, they would be allowed in and be able to see everything. Now, let's just say one of the great features of Moodle is I can create a quiz. Let's say I want to create a quiz on my Moodle site and the students are going to take that quiz tomorrow. Well, I can then put a key on that on my site that particular night, the night before the quiz, add my quiz to it. My students wouldn't be able to get into the site until the next class day when I give them that enrollment key. They log in, they see the quiz. They wouldn't have been able to gain access to the site the night before, knowing what the questions were, allowed to study ahead of time. Or if I feel as though somebody has access to my site that I don't wish to have access to my site, I can change the enrollment key, and because it's a new key, they won't be able to get into it at a later date. Or if they didn't have a key to begin with because I never had one, by putting an enrollment key in here, now no one without the key, or anyone without the key, I should say, won't be able to gain access. So that's pretty much it for part one. I'm just going to hit the Save Changes button, and when I save the changes, it's going to take me to a screen that tells me all the roles, who's been assigned what role. Basically, because I created this site, I am the only one that has editing power in the site. No one else happens to have that. I'm going to click on this button here, TS1, and it will actually take me to my Moodle site that I've just created, test site number 1. And here we go. Everything is left as is. So that's pretty much the end of the first part of the tutorial. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop in a second, and I'll have part 2 next, which will just show you how some of the features and settings of this site and how you can go about changing them. But for now, that's it. So I'll ask you now to create a site of your own, and good luck with that.